And welcome into the State Champ Studio. It's another edition of Hockey Time. Hey, special shout out to our friends from Alta. Without them, none of this is possible. Thanks for joining us on the State Champs Network and Local 4 Plus, along with my broadcast partner, Mike Iavasile. My name is Sean Baligian. Mike, again, you have to give some of the top echelon teams credit for scheduling games like this early. What a dandy to get things started, and that's where we're going to start this week. Catholic Central and Howell, by all accounts, it was an instant classic. You were there to see it.
Absolutely. A rematch from the state championship game last year. I tell you, right from the get-go, I was impressed with the student sections. Howell student section really turned out, but right off the bat in the game, CC was doing CC things, Sean. They were forechecking. They were hard on the puck. Pucks were getting turned over to the defense. The defense started that offense. 3-0 before he could blink 5-0, 5 minutes into the game, right? Well, Howell made a couple adjustments. They made life harder on those defense. They got themselves back into the game. Chad Pietla, Marco Wolf really stepped up, had a big game, had a 6-on-4 at the end of the game to win it. Couldn't get it done. CC gets the win 4-3. Something to keep an eye on here. Number 13, 14, and 15 for Howell, their third line. Egan Sturos, Connor Doolin, and Michael Mayberger. They started to get more ice as the game went along. We didn't see Howell fade like a lot of teams do in the third period against CC. The more ice that line can earn, the better for Howell.
Yeah, great way to start the season. And it was a great way for us to start our broadcast schedule as well. We have 2 more games coming up with Game Time Live. We'll tell you about them in a little bit. But last week, speaking of fantastic atmospheres, Mike, shout out to Birmingham for representing. Brother Rice, Birmingham Unified got together. Brother Rice wins the game, but a couple of things. Brother Rice, of course, perennial, D2 power. Make no mistake about that. But Coach Warson has something special going on with BU.
Absolutely. He's a builder of programs. He talked about it in our pregame interview when he was talking about what he did at Oakland University. He's done the same thing here, bringing in Connor Bozak, Connor McKitchich, and Lawson Veet, kid that got better every game. But we can't get away from this game without talking about that top line of Zach Stelgrave and Logan Jardine for Birmingham. Brother Rice. Once that game got going, they kind of took over. On the back end, Drew Murphy, he did everything we thought he would do. He tried to rush the puck as much as he can, but when he was out there, it was shut down. Let's also keep an eye on Ethan Guell. Oh, what a game he had out of Birmingham. I think Birmingham put some teams on notice that they're going to be real this year.
Shout out to some of the boys from Country Day that were out there. They were out there. They came and said hello. Our guy, Frank Novak, one of the best in the business. Country Day is going to be a team to keep an eye on as well. A lot of returners and a team that, by all accounts, and talking to Coach Novak, has worked really hard this offseason.
Yeah, but first let's make mention of what great young gentlemen they were coming up, addressing you, talking to us, bringing us some great news that was really good to hear about, right? Those seniors, you could tell by the way they were talking, they weren't happy with the way things ended last year, Sean. They're going to play with a chip on their shoulder all year.
Hey, Heartland, I mean, one of the perennial powers, one of the usual suspects. Coach Gadwa steps away. Matters not. Coach Brown picks up where they left off. A fantastic start for Heartland. And Chuck's putting this footage up there right now. How about honoring the military? They had 23 different vets out there. So great stuff off the ice and certainly great stuff on the ice.
Yeah, I love seeing that video when you texted that to me. What a night, what an event, honoring 23 veterans. And then they go and get things done by beating Plymouth 7-0. But let's talk about Heartland's 3-0 start, including a game where they kept Perry and Cook off the score sheet on a very tough Flint Powers team. Vinny Sabala doing Vinny Sabala things. He is going to make amends for last year. He's going to be strong and focused this year. Let's keep an eye on him.
Certainly one of the best in the state. 2 years in a row. They're fine goaltender, Vinny Sabala. Hey, Marysville, I've talked for a few years about their social media game. You should start talking about their hockey game as well. This is a team to keep an eye on, and certainly a player to keep an eye on. We're a few weeks away yet for our Player of the Year list and our wall list, but a guy to keep an eye on certainly for Marysville, Luke Thick.
Yeah, Luke Thick is a special player. I first got to see him not during the year, but out at the Chelsea camp for Team Michigan. He was that kid. I didn't have him on my list, Sean. I'm going to admit it. But every time he stepped on the ice, he did something where I had to put him on my list. Now, Marysville is going to play a tough schedule this year. They got De La Salle coming up. Can they improve on their 14 wins? Luke Thick's going to try to make something about it.
More on DLS in just a second. Let's talk TCC. I had a chance to talk to the legend Coach Givens before the weekend started. He really likes this team. Unfortunately, banged up to start the season, but this sounds like a team, Mike, that as the season progresses is going to be like that Trojan Hockey Club.
Yeah, they've had some injuries over the years. I think last year they started the season out with a couple injuries. These kids get back in time for the playoffs, and TCC makes noise. But in the meantime, another defenseman, Sean, out of Traverse City. Shocked, right? Kelvin Klosterman is the leading scorer for TCC. He's picking up the slack in the first 2 games.
Speaking of De La Salle, Chad LaRose is a guy I've known for a long time. I had a chance to cover his junior career, certainly his National Hockey League career as well. This is a guy that is really putting together some nice pieces for the Pilots. You saw them take a big, dangerous step last year. I think they're looking to take another step this year. And when you're picking up names like, Legwan, maybe that name sounds familiar. I think Chad LaRose has something special going on with Warren De La Salle.
Yeah, he was very excited talking at Media Day about the youth he's bringing in. And the one name he made sure to mention was Ryder Legwan. He's off to a hot start with 2 assists, right? But they've got Marysville coming in and Luke Thick. That's going to be a tough game. Let's watch it.
Yeah, by the way, props to Stevenson. I heard great game, 2-1 victory by Stevenson over De La Salle, so certainly Coach Thompson off to a great start. Hey, Mike, Chelsea, as we continue our trip around the state, we're going to do this all year, kind of pick on different regions and pick on different teams. Chelsea's a team for years, dangerous teams that always have a dangerous player or 2 to keep an eye on.
Yeah, they've got a tough 0-1 start, but again, Sean, if you're a parent with a kid that's playing youth hockey, you know you're going to get a game when you go and play the Chelsea Association teams, and a lot of those kids end up playing at Chelsea High School. Devin McIntyre, Keegan Montgomery, Brandon Davila, sound familiar? Who's the next one that's going to carry this team? How about Jacob Brandt? He's coming back off of 27 points last year, Sean. He's 6'4", 200 pounds. He's going to be a problem to play against. Let's watch him this year.
Let's head up north right now, and that's where he's going to be heading. As a matter of fact, Alpena, great way to start the season. Don't forget a team that made it to USA Hockey Arena last year. Nice overtime win against Cranbrook, another team that was in the D3 semifinals. This is a program that just keeps going like this, Mike. They've been a usual suspect, and as I mentioned, you're going to be heading there. Pretty cool post-Thanksgiving tournament up in Alpena.
Yeah, they've got that showcase coming up, and on Friday night, they're inviting Detroit Catholic Central into their barn to play. I'm excited to watch that. Again, they're 2-0 to start the season. You mentioned the Cranbrook game. They also beat the Bay Reps, and they got number 86, Gavin Winterstein, back, Sean. This was a kid last year when we watched him in Traverse City. I think he's 6'1", 185. He's got skill and everything to go with it, but let's watch this week. They're playing a tough Petoskey Northman team that we're hearing a lot about, especially number 91, Madden Patton. John, they call him Mad Dog for a reason. This kid's got next-level speed, a next-level shot. He plays in all situations, and he's anchored by Anderson Ward on defense. This is going to be a pesky team. Let's see how they do in Alpena.
Pretty good matchup in the first week as well. Jeffers and Houghton. First, I want to give a shout-out to Aaron and everybody at Jeffers. Take a look at those caps that they were kind enough to send us. The Jets, obviously, one of the great stories, if not the great story of last year, looking to build on that. But Houghton took care of business in that first one.
Yeah, Houghton got them 4-1. And a team with 2 Team Michigan returners and Carter Arco and Noah Millette. They're going to be a tough out, especially when Jeffers lost a little bit of that offense from last year, Sean. They might be a different team. They're going to lean on Casson Helmanen, their goalie. 33 saves in that loss.
How about Stony Creek over Chip Valley? That's another program, Mike. We had a chance to talk to those boys out at the OAA Media Day. That's a good win. I know we got some footage of that. So congratulations to them for that victory. Mona over BC. Listen, it's not like the Sailors are coming out of nowhere, right? This has been a pretty darn good program under Coach Benedict for a long time, but that's a big win to start the season out for the Sailors.
And I think that's what we're going to see out west this year, Sean. We're going to see games like, oh, wait, Mona beat BC. Someone else beat somebody else. They're going to take care of business and beat each other up all year. But let's not be mistaken. That's a huge win for Mona Shores.
I'll tell you what, a team that might just make the claim for the best out west is Granville. Joe Brazil has another fantastic squad. They're off to a quick start. Don't forget, they were a team that were at USA Hockey Arena last year as well.
Yeah, they're off to a hot start. I'd say outscoring their opponents 17-0. We got Brandon Vanderveen, one of their leading scorers from last year, back already with 3 points. But it's going to get a little bit tougher this week, Sean. It starts with a sneaky Reese Puffers team, and then they get Trenton and Houghton, a gauntlet right there. Let's see where Granville is after that, but we're hearing a lot of good things out of there.
Well, that is our look around the state. Now we're going to look ahead, not only to some of the games to note the next week, but how about 2 games to note for us? That's right, Game Time Live has not 1, but 2 broadcasts coming up. We'll tell you about it when we come back. First, let's check in with my guy, Jay Kidd, and the Coach's Corner. John?
All right, it's time now for our Coach's Corner, brought to you by our friends at the Michigan High School Hockey Coaches Association. I am joined today by the head coach at Northville High School, Ryan Otzenmacher. Welcome back to Hockey Time.
Thank you. Appreciate it. As always, appreciate the coverage.
Talk about this year's Northville Mustangs.
And this year's group, fun group to work with every day. Looking forward to coming to the rink. Just got back from Columbus, so starting the year 2-0. First time here at Northville, starting 2-0 in the last few years. So off to a good start, but I think just collectively our ceiling's pretty high this year. A lot of guys dialed in to what we're looking to do. So I think we'll be a much better team at the end of the year than we are right now.
All right, you are also the president of the Michigan High School Hockey Coaches Association. Just talk about the new things that are coming up this season.
Yeah, so I think there's a few new things. I think number one, and maybe most importantly, is last year we were able to get the MHSAA to approve the 2 more games. So this year we're up to 27 regular season games, scrimmage, and then obviously a playoff game. So for us, first growth in sort of game total count really since the inception of MHSAA hockey. So that's a big one for us. I think it allows for more travel for teams, maybe some more showcases, things like that. We also have the opportunity this year to select face-off sides after an ice or a penalty, so much like junior hockey. So I think that adds a little bit of creativity, a little bit of coaching to the offensive side of the puck. And then we are moving to Game Sheet, which is a digital scoring platform. Been some bumps in the road of incorporating it into our hub and the website, but I think overall it's going to be, once we sort of get things smoothed out, a better product for coaches, but also for fans that are watching games sort of develop live, because the score sheet itself, if connected to the internet, will update live. So those are kind of the main things that we've done last year or so I think all positive changes.
Obviously, the game of high school hockey has grown over the years. Obviously, coverage, not only with state champs, with PD and everybody, but what's been your guys' message to these kids to play high school hockey?
You know, I think anytime you see the players that have moved on or just talk about their high school experience, there's a common theme in all of them, whether they went on to play juniors in Canada or and played Division I college hockey or just simply moved on to the next phase of their life, and that is that the opportunity to play for their community, opportunity to play in front of their friends and their family, and then opportunity to play with the guys that they go to school with. And so when you look at those things, I think it just really underlines why high school hockey is so special and why the guys that play it, form memories for life. And if they move on, they share those stories. And so I think for us as an association, as a collective group, we try and do a good job of celebrating those stories.
Now, next Tuesday, State Champs Game Time Live is going to broadcast the game between Northville and Novi. We did the game a couple years ago. How special is it that State Champs will be out there?
Yeah, absolutely. The game itself is awesome. Obviously, sort of a battle of baseline. 8 Mile divides the 2 communities right here. Our locker rooms are just a few feet apart. And then the ability for us to have you out here, the production, obviously, professional quality. Anybody around the state, around the world, be able to tune in live, watch that atmosphere, watch the band in the stands, watch the student section. directions, listen to Sean on the call. So I think just from that point of view, I think it's such a great way to showcase what we have to offer in a special time of year right before Thanksgiving, kind of an annual tradition. So looking forward to it.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Coach, for taking the time here on Hockey Time.
Yeah, as always, appreciate the coverage, and good luck this year.
And that was our Coaches Corner, brought to you by our friends at the Michigan High School Hockey Coaches Association.
Thanks, Jay Kidd. Welcome back in. Mike Iavasile, Sean Baligian. Mike, as we mentioned before, we took that break for the Coach's Corner. 2 Game Time Live coming Tuesday night, just a couple days before Thanksgiving, the Battle of Baseline, Novi and Northville. And Coach Ossenmacher from Northville says, yes, the band will be there.
We asked him during the BU game. He texted you right away that they'd be there. That's all you guys talked about after that game last year, is how that made it such a good environment. And what else could we need in that environment? This is a rivalry where these kids grow up their entire lives either playing with each other or against each other. It's going to be a tough game. We're going to be keeping an eye on a guy we watched last year, Tommy Mironoff, a dynamic offensive player for Northville. But let's not forget Captain Lucas O'Brien for Novi. He's back for a senior year, and I have a feeling he's going to be playing with a chip on his shoulder after getting knocked out of the playoffs last year, 9-4 to Northville.
So the hardest working crew is going to have to set everything up, tear it all down, and then get on the road and do it again the next day. We're going to be out in Brighton. How about Orchard Lake St. Mary's in Brighton? What a dandy that should be the night before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, these teams played at this game last year and they tied 2-2. Now Orchard Lake is returning a lot of guys from a state championship team that is going to test all the depth that Coach Cavisto has on that bench on. And one of those guys, how is he only a junior? Tim Peterson.
Yeah.
He seems like he's been there forever. Another dynamic offensive guy that's going to look to lead them in points. On the Orchard Lake side, Thaddeus Rainish, their leading scorer from last year, well, he's back. And he's back with a vengeance, saying, I believe we can go back-to-back.
Those are a couple of the games that we're going to be doing in the next week, so make sure that you're aware of that. The week of Thanksgiving, Tuesday night, once again, Novi Northville from Novi Ice Arena, and then out in Brighton, Orchard Lake St. Mary's taking on Brighton. So make sure you check that out, Game Time Live. Some of the other games that we're keeping an eye on, how about this week, Plymouth and Brighton getting together, this young Plymouth team that plays hard. I know Dallas and AJ gets that Wildcat team going.
And every time we talk to them, Sean, we're like, tell us who you got. Who's the scorer? Who's going to do this? And he just says, chaos, I think was his word last year. Watch this line. They're our top line, but it's all about chaos and getting hard on the puck. Just the way Plymouth plays, right? Another tough game for Brighton. They're really going to test that bench.
MIHL powerhouses and conversely D2 powerhouses year in, year out. Rice and Trenton getting together down in Trenton. No, baby.
If you can get there, get to this game because it's going to be a hard-fought game. These teams do not like each other, and they've got 2 of the top scorers in the state out there, Donovan Durbin for Trenton and Stalegrave for Rice. This is going to be a great game. Go watch it. Tell us all about it.
Heartland CC Wednesday night. I think I'm going to have a double feature that day. I think I'm going to start at one game and then matriculate over to USA Hockey Arena. It might be 1 versus 2 now. I mean, no disrespect to Howell. If you want to make the argument for Howell, if you want to make the argument for Heartland, be my guest. But what a dandy that should be.
We're going to have a group of teams this year, Sean, that it's going to be a lot of 1 versus 2. Who did what yesterday? Who's going to do what today? I'm going to expect Vinny Sabala to have a game and avenge that way that game ended for them last year. And I think CC's going to work out a few kinks, and we're going to see Masick and Dye back on defense lead that offense.
I wish I could transport myself, snap my fingers and transport myself to the UP. How about the Kingsford Nagani game? The Flivers taking on the Miners. That's a beautiful thing. We'll keep an eye on that. Speaking of the UP, Novi makes their trip up to Calumet. We'll keep an eye on a lot of those youngsters for the Copper Kings. And then how about this? Howell and Houghton from McKinnis Arena on the campus of Michigan Tech University.
Wow, that's going to be electric in that environment. You know Houghton's going to show up. They're going to have bus loads coming in from Howell, a lot of Finns, a lot of Uper families up there that are really connected, and 2 of the best teams in the state going head-to-head. Wish I was there.
Bay Reps taking on SCS Unified. As we mentioned, Bay Reps, one of the usual suspects. SCS Unified, I think, quietly going like this. You saw them take a step last year. Let's see if they can do it again. Powers and Clarkston, oh, baby. a Division II powerhouse against a Division I powerhouse. That should be fantastic. And Mike, on the west side, I like this one. The Forest Hill Central Rangers taking on the Caledonia Scots.
You know we love our Milak, a high-end scorer out of Forest Hills. Well, he's going up against Hogue, one of the best goalies in the state. Keep an eye on this matchup.
That's going to do it for us. But listen, you know what? I have a special treat for you. Originally, we weren't scheduled to do this show for a couple weeks. But you know what our executive producer, Chuck, said? We are not waiting 2 weeks to do Hockey Time. You will be back in this studio on December 1st. And Mike and I said, yes, sir, we will. So no Hockey Time next week. We do have Game Time Live Tuesday and Wednesday night. But in the meantime, happy Thanksgiving to you and your family, unless you can't check us out for Game Time Live. And we'll see you again here on Hockey Time December 1st. In the meantime, we'll see you at the rink.
State Champs Hockey Time is presented by Alta Equipment Company, Lawrence Technological University, the MHSAA, the Michigan High School Hockey Coaches Association, and Warrior Hockey.